Good morning, folks. I I was watching Judge Judy, and it's interesting to see Judge Judy's her. You can kind of feel what she's thinking because a lot of these court TV shows are predicated off buffoonery, petty nonsense, and it really shows the rest of the world how nonsensical the violence and how things lead up to black destruction. I mean, you have people arguing over $5. You have people arguing over hair weave. You have people. You have people arguing over Jordan sneakers. And we saw what happened over this past weekend. A young black entrepreneur, who sold sneakers, who created sneakers, shoes, custom style shoes, was killed in his own shop. I believe he was 21, 20. This was a young man that tried to, I suspect, capitalize off a market and was murdered. I believe he was the co-owner of this particular custom shoe store and was shot down like a dog. Um, I don't know if the suspects were caught, but I'm almost 100% sure, minus seeing a mugshot, that they looked like him. And we always hear about, well, no one opens these Arabs and these Koreans open up stores in the so-called black community and they sell us inferior products. We need more black businesses. I have to admire the Arabs and the Koreans, the Palestinians, the Syrians, the Iraqis who open up said stores across all so-called black communities across America. I suspect many of these people deal with the pestilence and violence and the illogical behavior of many black folks in this area because they come from war-torn or poverty-stricken countries. I mean, it's kind of admirable to think, even though they put up 3-inch plexiglass between you. I mean, you can just look at all these videos. And me, like I said, I've traveled to the Bay. Every little corner store that's owned by a Syrian or an Arab or Indian, there's like 3 or 4 inch plexiglass and a turnstile type apparatus where they don't, they just want your money. They don't necessarily care about you. It's a very cold transaction. And that's how they think about you. That's how they feel about you. But they stay there in those neighborhoods. And occasionally one of you shines will try to rob and kill them. Occasionally they'll kill you. But it's kind of admirable to say, what makes these people stay around the violence where you have black men being shot outside their stores or shot at on a daily? But yet they still. I mean, it's something worth studying, to think that, to do. Because when you got black folks that don't want to open businesses, you got black folks with some good sense that will move out of those areas. Now, I know those Koreans, those Iraqis, those Syrians, they don't live in those areas. They take their money and they go back to where they live, out probably by the white folks. And I'm going to get into that here shortly about that type of transaction. Of course, I'm enjoying me a nice cup of Joe. My wife bought this, one of those kissing Seurigs or whatever, where you just put the little capsule in and you press the cup you want and we got rid of the, coffee pot. We don't do that anymore. Keurig or something, I don't know. My wife bought it. I just use it. But anyway, you can tell Judge Judy, you can tell she's like, look at these, you know what. And there was a particular case, two females from Chicago. One had 3 kids. The other one had 6 kids. And one of them dimed the other one out about the occupancy rate. I guess she had too many people. She exceeded the occupancy of, I guess, whatever program as far as who can live there. So the girl said she only had 4 kids, when in actuality she had 6. And she was ultimately booted out of that apartment. And then I looked at these 2 black females. Tattoos all over their arm, weave, face piercings. And I said to myself, you have already, we talk about black men, even though I'm going in on black men, and I will, and I continue, because I think black folks, a collective, are screwed, and black folks have regressed, and it's not getting any worse. It's not getting any better, excuse me. But I looked at these 2 sisters, I said, you have excluded yourself out of the dating market. No man, no respectable man who has, no respectable man in his right mind is going to deal with you. You having 6 children, no skills, and many of these women, what I find funny about these types of women, they all aspire to go and be nurses. They all want to go and be a CNA, and but they can't take care of their own kids. And then they get up here and they cry and say, I'm a single mother, and boo-hoo. And this is what she was doing to Judge Judy, and Judge Judy wasn't hearing it. I used to not like Judge Judy because I thought she was disrespectful. And she does have a kind of tone, but she uses common sense, logic, and it's a beauty now. I have a high respect for Judge Judy in the way she conducts herself with these types of cases. But I said, you have 6 children, no skills, but yet you want to be a CNA or a nurse. And I've said about single mothers like that, maybe one, if you had a out-of-wedlock child once, I may give you a pass. But when you're up in 3 and 6, when you're over 1, to me it shows that you're not very responsible. That's one thing I notice that's one attribute I see about single black mothers, or single mothers, period, is you're not very good decision makers. Because the reason why you're not a good decision maker is because you had a child, you knew what encompassed having a child would be. And yet, you chose to have this child. You chose to bring this child in this world, knowing damn well you would try to do it on your own. Well, actually, you're not doing it on your own, and I'll get to that here shortly. So you've put yourself in a bind already, when in actuality, you've probably, I'm going to get to that here shortly about abortion. When you could have probably aborted the baby. When you could have just gave the baby up. But no, and this is why I say, if the system were to halt child support, if the system were to not reward single, stupid mothers based off their decision making, the behavior would change overnight. These women would second guess. They would say, well, you know what? I won't be able to get on that assistance program if I have this child. I will actually have to do it all by my own. Because let me say this to you single mothers who sit out here and try to act like you're so independent. You don't need a man. I don't need him. But then you really need him. You're not doing it on your own. When you have WIC, you're not doing it on your own. When you're on a Section 8 program where you could take that voucher and live anywhere in the country, you're not doing it on your own. When you're on EBT, you're not doing it on your own. You think you are, but you're not, because you are receiving assistance from the government, state, local, federal, whatever have you. Section 8 is a federal program, so you're receiving help. If you're receiving child support, you're not doing it on your own. So you need to stop with that nonsense. But yeah, all these women, they aspire to be nurses and CNAs and shit like that. When you can't even take care of your own kid, you can't even take care of yourself. And when did you become so motherly and nurturing and want to take care of? And I've talked about the caregiver hustle now. I've even talked about my child has ADHD hustle, in which a lot of these women, when they're pregnant, they're still out smoking weed, smoking Newports, drinking, clubbing. Then they have a freaking Down syndrome or a child with defects. Now they can run to the Social Security office and get them an SSI check. Now they get a stipend for being a caregiver. On top of that, they're receiving Section 8, whatever other type of assistance programs. And they don't have to work. That's the hustle now. And not all these women have children that have birth defects or anything like that. But they just have these kids because the government encourages this type of behavior where it's rewarded, where you're rewarded with stipends. And this is exactly why a lot of black folks, especially black women, are attracted to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, because they will perpetuate this gravy train of endless benefits that they won't have to do anything. See, they don't want anybody who's going to strip them of those benefits. And a lot of black folks don't like candidates that are going to potentially strip them of affirmative action, all type of initiative programs, all types of, one-ups to get them in, diversity programs. They don't like that. And single mothers don't like anybody who's going to threaten their gravy train, their comeuppance. That's all it is. I've said child support nowadays is a comeuppance. I've said that how judges have to sit at their chair and rule in favor of unworthy, uncouth whores because the laws say that they do. They know damn well when they look at these women with tattoos all over their face and arms, tongue rings, lip rings. Women got 4 kids, and he has to rule in her favor because the laws require him to, thus putting these children in bad situations where they're not being properly raised. This is what goes on every day in America. Every day. So this woman on judge, she had 6 kids. And I said, what respectable man in his right mind who's got a little something going for himself is going to take you home to his mama and your 6 crumb snatchers? And we know, any woman that knows this too, who has some sense and knows what's up, we know that women depreciate. That behind and breast that you were flaunting around in your 20s, in mid 20s, late 20s, it will begin to sag around your mid 30s and up. And you have nothing to show for it because you've based all your income off child support payments and federal assistance. You haven't put any money aside. You won't have any pension, anything like that. That's why I say you women who are capitalizing and you're living high off the hog for 18 years, that jig is up here shortly. And when you don't have nothing to show for it, you wanted to sit up and trick off money, going to school, taking that student aid money, going to buy weave, going to buy Michael Kors purses, get your nails done every week. Your ass has nothing to show for it because you're in and out of school. The only reason you went to school is to get that student aid money, and this is it. The jig is going to be up. And no one's going to be checking for a 42-year-old tattooed Newport face because you didn't smoke your face out with weed, your lips black because you've been drinking and partying for damn 20 years instead of watching and raising your goddamn kids. And when you're 42, 43 years old, no man's going to be checking for you unless only men that are going to be checking for you is jail niggas fresh out of jail that are just looking for a place to shack up. Negroes that are in their 40s still cutting grass for money like he's fucking 12 years old. No skills, felonies, nothing to his name. Basically, your only thing you're going to attract is dusty niggas. That's the only thing you're going to attract when you're 43, 44 years old, still sitting around all day, listening to the black radio station, songs over and over again, sitting around smoking Newports all day, and talking shit and picking your ass. I can't tell you how many women and men do this. They just sit around all day, blast the radio in their federally funded apartment, blast the local black radio station, sit around with other loose, do-nothing women and Negroes, and smoke and joke and pick their asses all day until their kids get home from school. And some of y'all from the hoods, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. They don't do shit all goddamn day but listen to music, talk shit, maybe do somebody's hair, and that's it. I'm serious. See, some of y'all think I'm making this shit up, but some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And then these apartment complexes, they come home, these kids, are nothing but women and kids in these apartment complexes. The Arab man that bought the whole complex. Now, and I've seen it from my own eyes, you have an Arab owning the whole apartment complex, or a white man, or an Asian. And he usually employs a professional college degree sister to come in and shake all you single black mothers out and run all you Negroes up out of there. That's how it goes. I swear I seen it with my own eyes. So here you have an Arab or a Chinaman or Asian, whatever have you, straight off the boat. And your black ass has been here before there was even America. And he's telling you who you can have and who you can't have in this apartment complex. I want you to think about that. Whole apartment, I can only speak for the South. Whole apartment complexes full of badass kids and single mothers doing fucking hair, picking their ass, smoking Newport, smoking weed, and talking shit. Listen to it in the goddamn local black radio station all fucking day. This is your black queens. Think about that. Now, what Obama has done, he has made it to where Tika and Shaniqua, can move next to someone like me, who has a vested interest in owning and keeping up his place. I don't know if some of this stuff is over you folks' head, but I'm gonna try to keep it simple. I have a vested interest in keeping my place squared away with value, up to date. But Tika and them, she's moved in around the corner with her badass 6 kids, and they don't own. They're there, they receive Section 8, because now Section 8, these women can move any damn where in the country, pretty much. They just got that voucher. You should see some of these women, they get their name come up on that Section 8 register. Oh, shit. They happier than a hog in slop. And it's under the guise of fair housing. And let me tell you about fair housing, especially to you white folks. Fair housing means Tika's, Shaniqua's are moving next door to you right now as I speak. They have no vested interest in learning, in owning. And you know what's so funny about Obama and the housing? Fair housing doesn't mean living next to other black folk. And this is how this is why I tell black folks, don't be fooled and don't be conned to these Negroes who say, oh, they move way out to McDonough, or they move way out to Vestivia Hills, or they move way out to Arndale. I'm talking about 2 different cities, Atlanta and Birmingham. These are cities I'm familiar with. Or they move way out to Trustville. You see, even the government knows that living around black folks isn't conducive. That living around white folks will pay you to go out there and live with them, because those where the nicer areas are. Look, you're not necessarily, and that's how it is now, you're not getting Section 8. The government said, well, you should have everybody's entitled to fair housing. And like I said, fair housing means living next to white people. Safe housing is living next door to white people. This is why you see so many single black mothers and single mothers, period, popping up in nice areas, living right next door to people who've had to save 15, 20 years to buy a house, while the only thing she did is have some bastard kids go down and fill out some forms, and now her name done come up on the Section 8 registry. Now she's fucking hit jackpot. That's how it goes now. I know people who are doing it. So that's how it is now. But white people are fighting back on that. Because what happened, Tika and them from the West End in Birmingham, when they go to Vestivia Hills and with them white folks in their schools, they bring that same nigger West End mentality to Vestivia Hills. And they get to fighting and all that. And them white folks, they ain't used to that. And in most cases, they didn't move from Inslee. They didn't move from Hueytown. They didn't move away from their asses to get away. Now the government has put something in place where those black folks can now follow you. And that's all it is. Black folks just follow white people around. White folks go out and build some nice schools, productive schools, safe neighborhoods where you can jog at 9, 10 o'clock. You ain't got to worry about nobody, knocking you over the head or blowing your brains out. And what the government do? Well, they should have a right to have safe schools and safe neighborhoods. We're going to put them out there with them as well. I mean, never mind that black folks ruin their areas. Like Hoover outside of Birmingham, Alabama. I remember Hoover used to be a nice area. It's tilting. And I've always said, I've been to Salt Lake City, Utah. And Salt Lake City, Utah is pretty liberal. It's the most liberal place in Utah. But for the most part, it's a safe city. Why? Because there's white people that are a majority. The only violence you see in Utah, Salt Lake City, is from these freaking Serrano Mexican gangs that come from California or Mexico, and Pacific Islander gangs and Asian gangs. That's pretty much the only the most violence is from these damn essays, bringing their bullshit Serrano gang shit. Excuse me, it's early. But for the most part, you go to other parts of Utah, it's safe. It's safe. And it's sad when I can walk around. I have no fear of walking around in an all-white neighborhood in bumfuck Utah, and not worried about anybody robbing me or anything like that. But you stick me in Inslee, outside of Birmingham, port of Birmingham, and I probably wouldn't walk around at night in certain areas of Birmingham, Alabama. Black folk. And that's the reality. So that's how it goes now. Women are rewarded for failure and less than behavior. That's how it is. So I'm hard pressed to have sympathy for a lot of single mothers, because you're rewarded in so many ways. In America, it's becoming to a point to where there's really no honor in working. You don't really get, it's much easier to be a loser and shiftless. That's what I see now. I don't know. What else can I touch on? It kind of escapes me. But yeah, you women, no one wants you in that respect. Nobody, when you have 6 kids and you're at that age, You pretty much pissed away and squandered your years where you could have made something out of yourself. But you wanted to smoke dope. And many of these women are weed heads. They like to drink, and like to go get their hair done and don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And these are the same women, and some of y'all know because I've expressed this in other videos, who are always dropping their damn kids off at their parents' house or their grandmama's house and running to the fucking club only to get knocked up again. And then you expect me to sympathize with you. I don't. And I've said this before. When you have an average single black mother, as I explained from that Judge Judy show, who has 6 kids, and you multiply that black female by the hundreds of thousands, these are the same type of black women that create Freddie Grays and Michael Browns. And I've always said that most black folks have a Michael Brown or a Freddie Gray in their family. Most black folks have had somebody killed, murdered by another black individual in their family. And I'm almost to the point now that black people, it's as crazy as this may sound, a lot of black children shouldn't be born because a lot of these women aren't nurturers. They're just carriers of life. They have no nurturing skills. They have no type of instruction to bring in and to supervise and to bring up other life on this planet. And we see it every day. These kids run around with no respect for life. They're chemically imbalanced because the mother smoked dope, partied, drinking Patron shots, doing other drugs. And they come out all whacked out. Looks like the crack babies that are now in their 20s, mid-20s, late 20s. And they shouldn't be allowed to have children, to me, because they end up being nuisances, relying on the state, like children. A lot of single black mothers are like children. You're not doing it alone. You think you are. You try to, but you're not doing it alone. And like I said, you're creating, the way that you attempt to raise children. I see other women of other ethnic groups raise children that say, excuse me, or they know how to respect authority in a sense. They're not all these kids are saints, don't get me wrong, but basic decency, respect. That's what's lacking in a lot of black kids these days. And it's because, we can talk about single black men not being around, but like I said, you at the end of the day, black single mother, you could have aborted the child, which I'm not necessarily, but sometimes there's got to be an ends to justify the means. Or you could have gave the child up. But there's a system in place that's going to reward you no matter how you raise. You see, if these women got, okay, we're going to institute something in place to where if you raise your kids half-assed like a lot of these single mothers do, you're not getting shit from us. If your kid is in and out of prison, in and out of juvie, or cutting up at school, we're not going to give you anything. You see, if they instituted stuff like that, a lot of these women wouldn't get shit. But see, a lot of these women have children knowing that there's a system in place that's going to provide for them. If that wasn't in place, these women would probably abort or give the child up. Now, some of y'all are saying that black women abort kids. Yes, they do. They do. At an alarming rate. And I say, to spare another Freddie Gray or Michael Brown, that's good. And if it puts you in a position where you can't bring any more life into this world, great. You can destroy yours. And I don't hold these infant children. It's not their fault. It's your fault. So if your cervix or your uterus is all screwed up because you didn't let guys run up in you with syphilis and the clap and herpes, and now you can't have kids, great. That's good. I like that because you won't be able to contribute. And I know it sounds raw, but it's a realist approach. I don't have to worry about you being a taker and not contributing. I don't have to worry about your future offspring being a nuisance or shooting somebody or shooting me. I know you can't provide that because your uterus is all jacked by your own doing. You have a lot of women like that. You have women out here who have cancer of the vagina. You have a lot of, for you black men that engage in gay or homosexual sexuality, you have a lot of black men with cancer of the anus. It's a lot of sick stuff going on with black folks. A lot of sick stuff. Because of how black folks are loose, promiscuous. And you really, if I was a black male with a little something going on, I would be cautious about black women that I sleep with because of the disease factor, the promiscuity in the so-called black community is so out there. You have women sleeping with men who sleep with other men and don't tell them, inject them with disease. These women don't know. And now you see a woman because she doesn't display any of the sick marks of AIDS, HIV, or herpes. Now you get close to her. Now you want to sleep with her with no condom because you feel comfortable. You think this is going to be your lady for a while or for life. And now she's giving you herpes or AIDS, where she got it from a guy who likes men and women. I wouldn't sleep with black people nowadays. It's just too risky. I'd really have to watch them, and you can't be out there just nowadays sleeping with any old black folk. Not the way that we are. And that goes for gay men too, of other ethnic groups. I would be careful dealing with other black men who are homosexual. I just read a report that 1 in 2 black men will contract HIV. 1 in 2 gay black males in America will contract HIV or AIDS. So if I were a homosexual, I wouldn't even deal with black men. Because they're too loose. And I've talked about promiscuity in the so-called black community, where it's just Sodom and Gomorrah in this piece. Do what we want. Sleep with men, sleep with women, no protection, have bastard kids, we don't care. This is very reckless. Black American culture is very degenerative and reckless. And the further you get away from it, the better. That's just the God's honest truth. It is what it is. But I'm going to cut this video short. I'm about to get ready for work. Y'all folks have a good day. Peace.